Bonjour y'all, my name is Brita and today on Witches Unite I am sharing an open letter addressed to Niantic and WB Games regarding the current state of Harry Potter Wizards Unite. Since my last video kind of on this topic, I have spent hours, literally hours, over the past week talking to other leaders in the Wizards Unite community, combing through hundreds of comments across social media and Discord and here on YouTube, writing and revising and editing and changing the open letter that I present to all of you today. So first up, I'm just going to read the letter, and then I want to talk a little bit about the process of how we came up with this letter. You can also see everyone who was involved in the article on Wizards Unite Hub. However, the graphic that we are sharing on social media is just signed the Wizards Unite community because we want anyone who agrees with the letter to be able to share it and to be part of this collective action. But yes, I do have the signatures of the many different people across the world who helped put together this letter. And again, that's on Wizards Unite Hub. So, first up, dear Niantic and WB Games, the Wizards Unite community would like to express its ongoing frustration with multiple decisions made by the Harry Potter Wizards Unite team. Generally speaking, we would like the Harry Potter Wizards Unite developers to prioritize bug fixes over events and new features, and we would like to see better communication from the Wizards Unite team. Heading 1. Wizards Unite has too many bugs. For many players, the bugs, event design, and other issues in Wizards Unite make the game difficult, if not near impossible, to play. These problems include Adventure Sync is broken for many Android users. All distance tracking is broken for many Android users. A Wi-Fi connection is required to open the app. The Minneapolis and St. Paul area is missing points of interest. Players are kicked out of adversary encounters. The in-game map is vastly out of date, resulting in many players having non-existent map activity at home. While time for trace detection helps with this, players are stuck during events. Players can't pick up items from the map that never appear. For adversary events, players are required to use their limited supply of edible dark marks or purchase more in order to complete tasks. In addition, time for trace detection does not give sufficient event traces, preventing many players from completing tasks. RNG is too imbalanced, while event tasks have required a greater quantity of specific RNG results. Players with disabilities cannot make great spell casts, hindering their progress in brilliant events. Opening spell energy gifts causes the app to crash. There is an error that kicks a player out of the night bus when using a potion and trying to click through the animation. Players are kicked out of the night bus unexpectedly. Beta players still cannot collect mystery items. This bug has expanded to include other players who have been unable to progress on these achievements for months. Second subheading. Communication is insufficient. Players should not need to rely on Wizards Unite influencers to keep up with Wizards Unite news. At the moment, official Wizards Unite communication is limited. The Wizards Unite Twitter only announces event dates and artwork, plus player retweets. The Wizards Unite Facebook only announces event dates and forum posts. The Wizards Unite forum is difficult to navigate, iOS players can't even access it, and responses from the Wizards Unite team are limited. There is not a community manager posting on Reddit or Discord. The in-game SOS report doesn't provide information on known issues. Based on these complaints, these are the community's top 5 priorities, what we would like to see from the Wizards Unite team. 1. Fix bugs. 2. Improve communication, especially with in-game announcements. 3. Expand map activity with updated data, eliminating dead zones. 4. Rebalance RNG of map activity taught for trace detection, and edible dark marks, especially during events. 5, delay events, excluding brilliant events, as needed until bugs are fixed. Subheading 3, solutions. While the Wizards Unite community would like to see many changes to the game, we want to be realistic with our immediate expectations. As already stated, what we want most is for the Wizards Unite developers to fix bugs and for the Wizards Unite team to communicate more effectively. Wizards Unite players understand the technical challenges in fixing bugs. We also acknowledge possible limitations to official branded communications because Harry Potter has strict IP guidelines. However, we believe the Wizards Unite team can do more to incorporate player feedback. We propose 2 primary solutions. 1, limit events and new features until game-breaking bugs are fixed. 2 brilliant events and 1 adversary event each month are more than sufficient to keep the story moving while developers work on bug fixes. 2, communicate updates more often, even if it's just a public acknowledgement of issues. These need to be public standalone posts, not just replies to comments or direct messages. Long term, we propose 4 additional solutions. 1, expand map activity with updated data, eliminating dead zones. Update the in-game map with correct roads, points of interest, etc. Expand point of interest radius to compensate for incorrect in-game placement and inaccurate GPS. 2, make events more doable for all players by rebalancing RNG and doing more extensive playtesting, particularly outside of an urban area. Specifically, RNG should be rebalanced so that even with bad luck, players can still find the necessary quantity of boosted foundables and or adversaries. 3, do more extensive QA and play testing of new features before releasing them, even if that means delaying their release. 4, create a way for players to coordinate on the night bus instead of relying on the workaround beacon strategy. We understand changes like this take time to discuss internally. As such, we look forward to your reply by Wednesday, October 6, 2021. Respectfully, the Wizards Unite community. So that is the open letter. And as I said, it took a lot of time to put together, a lot of back and forth. And so I do want to explain some of the decision-making process towards some of the letter. First of all, the letter itself ideally will serve 2 purposes. 1, of course, we want Niantic and WB Games to read the letter and acknowledge the letter and hopefully give some sort of response, fingers crossed. But we also want the letter to tell the rest of the Wizards Unite community that those of us who worked on it are very much aware of their concerns, that we have been listening to all of your comments, all of your questions, all of your concerns. I mean, all the time, but especially in the last couple of weeks. And that is actually why we decided to include a few things that are not as urgent or as frustrating. You know, we did sort of separate the 2 primary frustrations being the bugs and the lack of communication. The 2 primary solutions are addressing those 2 frustrations, and we separated those from future things that we would like to see. But we wanted to include the future things that we would like to see because those are the comments that we have heard from all of you. We're just realizing that we want to be realistic in our expectations of what can be done over the next few months, which is why we separated those out into 2 categories. We also decided not to include certain player complaints because they were fairly minor and they were really specific. I know that I'm being vague here, but we had discussion back and forth on whether or not to include a few other things when listing the player complaints. And we took out a few that we thought would detract from the overall message. We really wanted the letter to be focused on the primary problems that are affecting players. And yes, obviously some of those things only affect a subset of players, but they've been a problem for a really long time. So beta players, for example, have not been able to collect mystery items from the very beginning. That's a bug that's been going on for 2 years, and now it's affecting other players. Maybe that's only affecting a small subset of players, but that's a really frustrating bug that is continuing. Same with the fact that points of interest have disappeared from the Minneapolis and St. Paul area. Yeah, that's only affecting players in that one area, but that's a really huge bug to affect just those players. And that happened like 10 months ago? I think it happened in 2020. So we wanted to include those even though they're very specific, because they have been problems for such a long time, and Niantic and WB Games are aware of those two problems, and like nothing's been done about it yet. So that's kind of a little bit of the thought process behind what to include in this letter and what not to include. We want to focus on what is most important to players, and we also want to provide positive solutions. So that's the open letter. And now you might be asking, okay, well, cool, that's an open letter, Brita, but what about a boycott? At the moment, we are not organizing a boycott. And I mentioned this at the end of a video I did last week, that after, again, reading through literally hundreds of comments across different parts of the internet, that players are pretty firmly in one of two camps. They really want a boycott because they think a boycott is the only action that would be effective. They don't want a boycott. They want to do something positive instead that can still be significant enough for Niantic and Warner Brothers to take note. And so the 20 of us in this little group that's been working on this for the past week, we decided that we want to work on positive action. I'm a positive person. Y'all know this about me. And I would rather the community unite for something good rather than a boycott. It doesn't mean a boycott is totally off the table. It's just not part of our immediate plans. We might regroup after we get a response from the official Wizards Unite team to our letter. But for now, the positive action, we're still working on it. Side note, getting 20 people from across the world who all have completely different schedules and things going on in their lives to come together and create a plan is a very time-consuming process. I've spent a lot of time this past week doing it. Anyway, we are voting on 2 different nonprofits right now to support. So we will share the one nonprofit that wins the vote. And then those of us who do live streams will come up with a schedule to have charity live streams. And even people who maybe don't host live streams themselves will pop up in other people's charity live streams. So stay tuned for that. I will definitely be hosting at least one. I'm sure James of Expected Go will be hosting one. Lynette and Wizard PhD will be hosting one. I think Shanna Lee will also be hosting one. So just stay tuned for that schedule. We will be sharing that fairly soon. And some of those live streams will be like Wizards Unite Fortress live streams, and others will be other games that we play. So we're just trying to mix it up, have a little bit of fun. You know, we can do good while having fun. So that's just how I feel about those. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's going on. That's the open letter, and the doing things for good is something that we're going to do through the end of October. So that's how long the fundraiser will last. So stay tuned for more information about the fundraiser and the charity live streams. If you want to share this image yourself, I have posted it in a bunch of different places. It should be in the community post here on my YouTube channel. It's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram. Well, it might not be on Instagram. The size might not be right. But it's in a bunch of different places so that you can share the open letter to your own social media platforms. Anyway, that's it. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, au revoir, witches.